Hey guys, Sampo here, and today we're doing a tier list of all the Genshin Impact playable characters plus Fatui members, just in case if they are going to be playable. I think some people are coping, honestly. The thing is that, yeah, it's just going to be tier list, and here's how it's going. So first, of course, first appearance is always going to be a thing. We're going to rank on that. How their playstyle is, if applicable. If we cannot apply their playstyle, we can, if they're a boss, we can actually implement their own boss fights as well. If they're actually both, we're going to see if they were playable, so we're only going for their playstyle. We're not going to take any team comps or weapons or any meta builds, because that would be pretty unfair for most of the characters. We are also going to take their influence in the story, the main story, and if anything, we're also going to look into their character stories as well, if applicable, because there are some characters who do not have a story yet or are not released yet. For the newer characters, which are the characters are coming from version 5, since they're not released by the time of this video, I'll only go over how their animations are and how their playstyle is from the trailers themselves, and any personality they have. Personality is going to be the final part of me ranking these characters, because, well, Genshin's story, at least for the main story, character quests, the characters' personalities are mostly profound in character quests, so yeah, but main story is going to be the main thing about it, and if they don't have enough screen time, it's basically Genshin's fault. It's not exactly mine, but I do have some biases, so remember, this is all just my opinion. So yeah, here we go. And first off, I think we can safely say, well, we didn't have all the characters, of course. They're just all playable characters. We know there are, in the recent trailer, we see the Archon, of course, but unfortunately they're not on the tier list, only because, well, this wasn't really fully updated yet, of course. So we only have the 3 that are coming out, you know, because of the earlier trailers. So here we go. First off, we'll start with the Fatui members. I think for the majority, we'll put the Fatui members as unknown, at least for the ones we don't see yet, or at least if I remember. I think we saw this guy before, but we're gonna put majority of them here. And then we have these, technically 4 if you want to say. 5. So we have other 5 Fatui members. I forgot about that. For you, as much as it's probably just F tier, he is just a bad guy, right? But we don't know much of his story. He's just down here because he's a villain, and that's kind of about it. But yeah, if he's appearing in the next storyline, in the next version, like version 5, then I might rank him up maybe later, sooner or later, if I ever do update the tier list. But yeah, for you, it's kind of in the same range, but I think he was a bit more introduced. That was about it. For Signora, she's a very good boss fight, unfortunately not a playable character. In terms of her role in the story, she is pretty much like a staple in like the main 3 stories, basically up to Imazuma, which let's not talk about that story, shall we? But in terms of her boss fight, it is the best boss fight out of the game for now in terms of the 3 fights. So I think for her, we'll put her in basically B. If she is a playable character, I do think she has a chance to go in A, but for her story and boss fight alone, it's basically a B. Child, I don't really like his character. I don't see the appeal on why people actually like him. If anything, I would like to put him F, but I mean, like, let's just be generous. His boss fight is entertaining, although one of the weakest boss fights in the game. And his playstyle is interesting, although I just don't really like him as a character. And of course, the interactions with Traveler does contradict any other Fatui interactions that Traveler has, well, quote-unquote Traveler, because compared to other Fatui members, Traveler has been very suspicious besides Child, but I guess you can say that Arlecchino, who's gonna be coming up next, basically is like the only other exception. Now we have Arlecchino here. In terms of personality, I really do like her. I think for personality alone would be a C. In terms of her playstyle, she might hit very heavy, but I do like her unique playstyle, including that she actually has a Scythe 4 weapon. I think that she could probably go up to A at the very least. However, in terms of the main storyline, in her character quest, it's really good. We do see what she is and her backstory. It is pretty sad, but unfortunately we're looking at the main story, and I'm gonna be pretty honest, she only appeared like very early on in Fontaine's storyline and nothing else, and it kind of just been saved as first a playable character, which she was, and of course second was her character storyline, which would drop her to B. But I think she can stay up to A because she has a boss fight, and compared to Signora, while it's not a canon boss fight, it is basically one of the better boss fights. It is a bit, it's gimmick. It is a tiny bit too hard for the average player. So I would say I would drop it down to B, but I think even average players can still beat it. Technically speaking, you kind of need Dea as a tank to actually beat her. But I know there's some people who actually have built like very good catalyst characters who could actually just shoot her from a range, and especially if you have Kokumi, you can actually beat her. So it's not too hard of a boss fight. It's not as fair as Signora's, but we'll just say that her character story does actually bump her up a bit more than Signora, thanks to her being a playable character. I think I do want to see her as a playable character sooner or later for Signora, but we all know that's not gonna happen, honestly. Alright. Okay, so let's get into Aloy. Aloy is a crossover character which belongs to Horizon, which is a Sony exclusive game, unless you count Lego Horizon, which is now on Switch and other platforms. Unfortunately for her, her story does basically involve at least some context from Horizon, which, to be honest, is not really that much as far as I'm concerned. According to everybody else, because this is a PlayStation exclusive character and I don't have her, if anything, I could put her in F tier, but we'll put her in D tier, because for one thing, you do need context of Horizon. I do know the context of Horizon. She's a pretty decent main character in that world, but unfortunately in Genshin, her gameplay style is lackluster. She's not exactly the strongest, while we don't count her for that. Story in Genshin is lackluster, as she doesn't have any. She is just a free 5-star crossover character, and to be honest, I think in the new version for version 5, she fits Natlan, which is the new region. She fits that region much more than any other place in Genshin, so if any time she would rerun, I don't know why I cannot speak, she needs to rerun, she'll be over here. I'm sorry for the background noise if you heard that. I cannot really control that, unfortunately. I forgot there's other Fatui. Might as well just put an unknown. I forgot. They're both travelers. They will both be equally ranked because their story in the games is exactly the same, just the pictures are different. And of course the dialogue does reference these two together. Their gameplay is, well, there's multiple elements for the gameplay, so unless the fire can surprise me, these guys are pretty average. In terms of story, I'm sorry to say I'm not really interested in their story anymore. Genshin has kind of ruined these two characters already. Not the fandom, the game itself, only because like their stories aren't really that well done. There's the issue with trusting some Fatuis and not trusting some other Fatuis, their character interactions, although if just like the actual person, the actual casual person, yeah, they're sick and tired of the story being too long, basically. I think they're getting some fourth wall awareness. But if anything, I'm putting these guys at E tier, both the male and female, since they're practically both the same character, but above Child. Child kind of still sucks, honestly. Can I? Okay. I just, I don't know, I cannot see my mouse for the moment. It's kind of hard. I guess I should make my mouse bigger. Okay. I think the noises should be over, I hope. Okay, so let's go. Jean. Her gameplay is actually pretty unique, although most of these characters are from version 1 to version 0 to version 1, since these guys were here since the beta. Jean has improved since a lot. Unfortunately, majority of the version 1 and version 0 characters don't have much of story. But in terms of gameplay, I do like every single one of them, but they're pretty much, compared to everybody else, they are generic, I'm sadly to say. I think, let's see here. Yeah, I like, okay, Jean's storyline is good. We'll put her in average. Lisa? Okay. It's kind of easy for version 0 to 1 because they don't have much story, but they all have technically equal, Mondstadt, of course, or Mondstadt, basically. They all have equal amounts of story, so that's pretty nice. But it's not enough to say unless you go to events. I do think I like Amber just because of her personality. I think let's put Jean and Amber up here. Noelle is pretty sweet, although I would say she has the least amount of character time in the game. Barbara, kind of the same. It was only implied through like some other dialogue, honestly. I was about to sneeze. Okay. Sorry, I guess my allergy just kicked up right now. Sucrose, she's really nice, but let's see, I think that she has more interaction than Barbara. I think the only thing is that most of the catalysts around here are not that good. I think Noelle's above Lisa, because I don't like how the catalyst works for like version 0s to, well, until we get a kicker, honestly. She's fine. I do like her quirkiness. It's just her gameplay. It's like kind of confusing to me. Not a lot of people actually understand how she works. She doesn't have a rerun ever since, I think. I don't remember if she was a 4 or 5 star. She feels like a 5 star, honestly. But no, her gameplay kind of sucks. Just kind of makes her why she's DT here. Mona, I think Mona is fine. She is another catalyst. But not that useful, especially not in today's gameplay, because there's a lot of characters that could overtake her in terms of gameplay. In terms of story, actually there's not much in terms of story for her, honestly. Yeah, not really. The only interesting thing that she's originally from Fontaine, but she's in Mondstadt, basically. Been hinted ever since, so I guess that's nice, but in terms of gameplay, not my cup of tea. In terms of character, like, influence, not that much. Kaya and Diluc, we can put these two together, basically. These two do have pretty good, like, story implications. Would actually put them above. I think I'll put Diluc above Kaya. Even though Kaya has more screen time than Diluc, Kaya has mostly been in the majority with it, majority of the times with Glee. But I'm going to put him over here, since these two storylines do intertwine at some points. I think Diluc has a more prominent role in his story than Kaya has, but that's just my opinion. Razor, okay. If it was like, if we were back at the time of Sumeru or possibly Imazuma, Razor would be the character what I would like to have at the top of A. But since his re-release in a banner, and I tried him again since who knows how long, he has his gameplay alone would actually get him up here, at least for me. His character prominence isn't that much, although his personal story is a little sad but kind of goofy. I do like him. Unfortunately, his gameplay does take him down a lot. I would say he's like around this level, honestly. He's just really mid, because I have not realized how slow his attacks are. For Claymore, yeah, I think for Claymore beforehand, he was pretty fast, but compared to other Claymores right now, he's the slowest hitting. Not that good. He is prominent. I just don't really like his character. I'm sorry for all the Bennett fans. I just don't really like Bennett. At least he's better than the Travelers, I guess, honestly. Okay. It looks like we kind of skip a few. from Mondstadt, but it looks like we're going a little bit too leeway. Now, I must remind you that I don't remember every single of these characters' names, as some of these characters I just have no hard feelings for. Like, mostly just all these characters are neutral at the very least. But I could say this, the majority, even I don't know their names, the majority of the leeway characters all have a very good prominence in their own story. For the majority, most of the leeway characters, I think, like, yeah, most of the leeway characters are in A tier. I think she counts as, yeah, she counts as leeway, right? But for her a bit more, I like her a bit more. I think that's good, but there, she's Mondstadt. Don't know why she's over here. Well, in terms of gameplay, I do think she's actually pretty interesting. In terms of prominence, she has no prominence in the story. The fandom does kind of make her into a meme, which she kind of deserves. It's a very good meme, honestly. But if anything, I'll put her possibly just above here. She's like, she has some usefulness in gameplay. In terms of story relevance, not that much. I don't exactly like you. You can be second B. You. I do like him a lot. It's because of his gameplay and while he has no prominence in the story, I think his personality is. I really like his type of personality, honestly. That's all I can say. I am a sucker for his type. Chi-Chi is so cute. But her prominence in the story isn't that much, sadly. I would put her. Her prominence in the story is not that much. If anything, I'll put her like over here, bottom B. Like, she doesn't have enough story prominence. She does have a very sad story in terms of her character. Her gameplay is not too unique. I just think it's for the cute factor. Venti's a tricky one, but he was very prominent in his own storyline. If anything, Venti is like top B, I think. He's very prominent in his storyline. In terms of his gameplay, it's the most interesting at the time. But I think because of just his prominence in Mondstadt's story is like the best. Yeah, I think it was put like that. Klee's cute. I think it was put for the same place as Chi-Chi, honestly. But she does have more story. She has more story relevance in a way. But yeah, more story relevance in a way in very early Mondstadt, basically. I think her name's Donna, right? Again, it's like the first Neko, character we see, and yeah, cute. Although in terms of story prominence, not that much. She is a shielder, which makes her early on one of the more interesting characters to actually have. If anything, I think I've just put her by Razor. Best so far, honestly. It's just everything about him is just so good. While his gameplay is a bit lackluster nowadays, like his playstyle is lackluster nowadays, he's still the best shield, basically. He has very good prominence in his own story, and of course, I mean, he is the whole story in Leeway. That makes the most sense to me. I like her, but her prominence in the story is not too much. Until you get to her character story, which is really good. Her gameplay is actually really nice, but compared to every other gameplay for other claymores, it's pretty average. If anything, she's like bottom B. I actually don't remember how he does. I think he might be. Is he Leeway? I think he's Mondstadt, not Leeway. I think it's put in D. I don't remember what he actually did. That's the problem. Ganyu. I think with other Leeway characters, she has very good relevance in the story. I think actually I'll be more fair right here. There. Okay. That seems to be right. Zhao has pretty good influence in the story as well. We'll put him over here. Yeah, we'll put him here. I think that's fine. Hu Tao doesn't have that much prominence, but I do love her personality and gameplay style. Her character story it's good, just a little lackluster. It kind of shows how people treat her, not herself, but not like her fully herself. But yeah, Hu Tao's like one of my favorite characters. But I would be fair, I would put her bottom A. Because, to be honest, I think Martino's just better Hu Tao in terms of gameplay. I think that's about it. In terms of story, she's not really, but I do love her personality. Again, another Monstrat character right here. She has some more relevance, but where's Barbara? We're gonna put her right here. Yeah, I cannot say much for her, but she has some relevance, but not exactly that memorable. You have a lot of... You have more relevance, actually. Kind of surprising. I kind of forgot about that. To be honest, I know that most people people saying she is pretty prominent in her own storyline, in the storyline of the main story, but I literally don't know what she actually does. I think she's Monstrat though. If I'm correct, she is Monstrat. If anything, I think I'll put her... I think I'll just put her above here. Honestly. Yeah. He's actually pretty prominent in his own story. But he's Imazuma. Okay, we're hitting the Imazuma characters already. That is very quick. Imazuma's story though, it's cut to 3, but it's not that good. In terms of his personality, he is the more stoic type, which is the good type of stoic. I think, to be honest, but it's only Imazuma's story that I don't really, which I think is actually bringing these guys down, because the majority of these guys don't have enough screen time in Imazuma. Same thing for you. You're technically like bottom B, if honestly. She's good. It's just unfortunately either she is better Mona, but better. She has a lot more prominence in her own story. It's just only Imazuma's just kind of ruining her. I do like you though. Think you're bottom A, honestly. Again, if she was more prominent in Imazuma, possibly, but I do love her gameplay style, even if it is a bit more generic at the time. Ganyu, she's really unique. She's cute, but in terms of story relevance, not that much. If anything, I'll put her right here. Okay, you guys cannot really see much anymore, and now I'm forced to actually move around a little here. Okay, hopefully my computer doesn't overheat. The Shogun. This might piss off a bit people. You can actually say this is Shogun or A. If it was A, I think I'll put her like C. If just for that, but for the Raiden themselves, the Shogun herself, yeah. In terms of a boss fight, it's pretty interesting. Unfortunately, you do beat her in the cutscene. To be honest, I think the boss fight alone makes her to bottom C at the very least. I don't like her character that much, even with the story behind it and then going through her own character story. It doesn't excuse what she does in Imazuma. Imazuma's own story has been poorly paced, so there's no way we can actually relate to the Shogun and why she's actually doing this, even if we do go for her own storyline, which does actually say about it. It's just Imazuma's pacing is just pretty bad. And in terms of her personality, there's no true redemption. The redemption is basically kind of off screen, but at this point in time, there is no redemption. It's most likely that A herself is actually getting ready for a second war, which says a lot. Oh, you. She's better, honestly, but nah, I always say mid C at the very least compared to every other character. She has a lot more story prominence. It's just that Imazuma. That's about it. Kokumi. I do like her playstyle. She is cute. She's a good healer. I think, to me, one of the best healers. But I think because of, again, Imazuma, she has the least amount of screen time. I think just her playstyle is actually just what keeping her here. Kind of average, honestly. That's all I could say about him. Idol is funny, but the novelty does wear off. He now becomes very much annoying. But he has slight presence in the story. I think just put him like over here. He's pretty prominent. But again, Imazuma's story is just very poorly paced. These guys don't have enough like screen time to introduce themselves and what they are, like Leeway was. We're going back to Leeway once for Shihi. Again, I don't think she's that much of story. She doesn't have that much story prominence, but she's still pretty much up there. Her gameplay style is a bit generic, but I do like her personality and her story. It's pretty sad. Another one. Now for her, she doesn't actually have enough prominence. That's the thing. I think she came in very late into the story. She's only there for an event, I think, if I remember correctly. I don't think she has any much prominence, but her gameplay style is pretty unique in terms of her E-skill at the very least. She does seem like a 5-star. I do think she does deserve to be in the 5-star rankings because she does look like one, and I do think that her personality does fit for it, but I don't know, it is what it is. Yay. I think you can fit with like above Razor at least, like around here. That's all I could put for you. I do like her personality, and I do like her. Well, her playing with style is like very simple to like other catalysts, so it's not that much. Her story prominence is actually really pretty much up there, but very late in the story. I could put her below B, but her gameplay is pretty average, so I'm thinking just putting her in middle C with it. I don't remember you being in any place, but I don't exactly like you either. He's pretty generic, no hard feelings, honestly. I think I'll put you above Idol at least. The same thing goes for her. I think the majority of some of these characters, I either don't remember their prominence in the story or that they are pretty much linked and don't fit the main story of their own region, which is a bit sad. I do like you. I do like her character and her personality. I think in the story she's not that prominent, but I think her personality alone is here. Her gameplay style is pretty useful for, at least in my opinion. I think that's about it. I think he is actually the first physical fighter who actually punches and kicks people. Well, mostly kicks people. He doesn't have that much story relevance. If anything, I think I'll put him just above here because of his unique gameplay style. And his personality. That's the only reason why I like him. Okay, we're going to Sumeru right now. Sumeru, Tegnari. I'm a dude sad. I kind of am sad. I think his voice actor changed again. It doesn't really matter to me that much, but other than that, his gameplay style is alright. It's kind of average to say the least. His personality is really nice, but his prominence in the story is only like twice in Sumeru, and that's like for the Forest and Desert, and it's like very short, at least to what I remember. I think he has more character relevance. I think it's like above C is like where he's at, honestly. Kali, I call her Kali, honestly. I do like her. Her gameplay style is unique for an archer. In terms of story relevance, is not that much. I'm not counting events, because in the current event that she was in, she has pretty good prominence, but it's mostly like as a afterthought rather than actually being a main person there. But I think she deserves at least the bottom B at least. I think it's enough said. I don't like you. But at least you're above here. At least you have some prominence, honestly. Okay. He has pretty good story prominence. I do like you, and I like his puns too. I don't care what anybody says. I do love how what his personality is. Any character that's funny or does puns, there's like instantly maybe an A and possibly S, but majority right now is just like S. I mean A. I don't know why I said S. She does have some story prominence, but it's not that like prominent. It's not that prominent. It's like in one section only. Her character story, if I remember correctly, is not exactly that prominent as well. It's not really my cup of tea. I think she's just pretty average here. There's no offense to her. It's just to me, it's kind of average. She has pretty good story relevance, although while it is a technical minor role, she has a lot of story relevance. I think she actually fits in the B range at the very least. Think above like here. I think I'll move him right here. Yeah, right there, okay. Nahida is actually pretty good in terms of her own story. While Sumeru does not fix the pacing problem, she is the most relevant in the whole story of Sumeru. Unless, well, a little bit of the desert area, mostly the forest area only, and that's actually pretty nice. I don't remember her having any prominence, but I do like her character a little bit. Just maybe over here. This is interesting. Main story, I don't really like him as the Wanderer himself. If he was still the nice and innocent Wanderer, I will put him in A tier. But no, I'm just half-heartedly wanting to put him in D tier. I just don't like his personality currently as it is. In terms of gameplay style, he is pretty good. I like his playstyle. He can fly. He does kicks. That's good. But his rest of his gameplay is just like any other average catalyst, which kind of sucks. Oh boy, he does have the biggest prominence in story though. But I hate his character. I just hate his character and how Genshin actually ruined him when we get to name him. The story quest where we get to name the Wanderer is just the part where it's like, then you kind of ruined him. Thought he would be a very nice and redeemed character, but when we get his memories back, he's just becoming his old douchebag self. But I did name him Zamasu. He is just basically Genshin's he's just Zamasu from Dragon Ball Genshin version, honestly. I'll be nice. I'll put him in bottom B. At least that's because his okay, actually no. I'll put him in like third C. I forgot. His boss fight is the worst because you beat him through cutscene alone. In his initial boss fight, you beat him by cutscene alone. Only the first phase is actual skill. Everything else is by cutscene, and then you have the other one which is just automated for you. You don't need to do anything, which is kind of sad. But I think at least he's at least C, which might not be much from being below D, but it's better than D at least. I guess I'm not really a big fan of him. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't remember her having that much screen time on the main story. I don't exactly like him. That's kind of bad. I just don't like him. I don't know. There's something about it. I think she's a leeway character. I don't know why she's added down here. I guess it's going order of release, I think. But she has her gameplay style is slightly unique, but not that much. But she's pretty harmless. I like her character, but it's like average. I think below C is like, no, maybe a little too harsh. Put her right here, somewhere middle C. Dea is pretty prominent in the desert area. I would put her in S tier, honestly. But if you guys don't really like that, I could put her in A tier. But the reason why I put her here is because, well, her storyline, she is prominent. We do know her just a tiny bit, and she is both related for the desert and the forest area in Sumeru. The only thing is that after a while, she's not that prominent until like possibly the end. However, I do think that the argument is that her story quest is actually really nice as well, as we get to see more. And I think her story quest, besides Arlecchino, is probably the best one. In terms of her gameplay style, she actually throws punches, which is not fully, kind of wish she does fully. She seems like a person who actually would punch people. But I do like her gameplay style for her basic swings, and of course that her bursts, she actually just punches, and I do like that. The only reason why she is an S tier for me personally is that she is different from everyone else in the game, is that she is a tank. She's built to be a tank. She's not supposed to be built for DPS. While it is good for a character to hit very hard, her uniqueness is actually what actually makes her here, and it's literally just because she's the only character that can actually tank a lot of hits without a shield, and she can self-regenerate. She can self-regenerate health if she is low enough health, so that's actually pretty good. You do need more C's to make her feel better and make her better, but yeah, in terms of uniqueness of her own build, and I think people just misunderstand Dea. She's supposed to be a tank, not an actual hard hitter. Although I do kind of am hoping that she would be a hard hitter, but her being a tank does actually make her the most unique out of every other character. Unless you're Zhongli, who can tank with their shield. Well, but that's just me, I guess. But yeah, if anything, I would actually put her in possibly like top A at the very least, because it's really just how I'm feeling. And right now, it's all my personal opinion, right? It's just my opinions. It could be subject to change and it's not definitive for everybody, but I do think that she is deserving the S tier, at least for her everything else. But I would say this, her gameplay in terms of like her stats is underwhelming. That would actually put her at least to upper B, at least for me. I just don't like these two. They have good chemistry together, but that's the problem. They need to be together. Yeah, I don't remember you having any comments, but you're fine, I guess. You can be bottom here. I'll push A bit lower here. I think you're fine, honestly. That's not much of a prominence in terms of story at the very least. Although you do actually, but he does have prominence with Chi-Chi, but that's all I could remember. Other than that, he doesn't have much prominence for himself or the story regardless. Kirara actually has a good amount of story relevance. She has a very interesting gameplay and she turned to a cat box, and that's really cute. I think putting her over here, maybe you're just above. Maybe just above these two. Yeah, okay, just above these two. I think she fits here, honestly. The only problem is that she doesn't have a self-prominence in her own story, except if you count the events, the current events. For Genshin, which is in 4.8, which is the new world, but I'm not gonna count that. If I did count that, she'll be in like bottom A, but like no, she definitely deserves to be here. Fontaine characters, the majority of them are from Fontaine. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so majority, I think Fontaine is like Leeway 2.0. They did a lot to improve their own story writing and stuff like that. The only problem is that it is too short, but every chapter does actually show these characters as for their prominence, so that's pretty good. So I think for majority, yeah, all the siblings, the 3 siblings here, they do deserve the A tier. All their gameplay is relatively unique in a way, and their relevance in the story is pretty much up there, but just descending order like this, because their prominence in the story is really just descending order. I don't think Feminine actually did that much. He has a lot of prominence in the story. I'll actually put him above Dea. He is the hardest hitting character and the most unique, as his charge is just a Kamehameha, which is very funny. He does have a sad story. His character relevance is pretty much a very prominent one. I think there's enough said, but there's a lot more I could actually say. But I think a lot of people already said, if you already know, for people who love, like Nevelet, I think it's already obvious. He's just a super hard-hitting catalyst, pretty unique in a way, and has a very good prominence in the story. I feel like Wisely deserves at least like here in the third slot of A. He is the most unique, as he is the character that I like. His gameplay, he just punches people and actually like purely punching. His story relevance is not that much, but I do like his personality, but it's a little hard to tell. I think for his uniqueness in gameplay, there's a reason why he's up here. If anything, I will put him in top B because his story relevance is not really that much prominent. Which is kind of sad because, yeah, after the prison stuff, we don't go back to the prison and we never see him again. At least he has more than Cloran, which I'm sad to say is about the same. I don't exactly like Furina's personality at the very least. I don't really like her, but at least the story makes me respect her, and I do feel like she does preserve the S rank. Her story is really sad, and you do get to understand why she's acting this way. Her gameplay style is the most unique, as her animations are one of the more fancy, is like the fanciest animations. Also, she can change her own clothing. She can change the style of her clothes by just attacking. And that's actually pretty nice. Her kit is a bit lackluster, but she's mainly here only because of her relevance in the story and how she is treated in the story. I just don't like her. But it does the Genshin for once actually makes me respect a character that I actually hate. It's good that she's over here. Yeah, I think that's about it. Alright, what do I have left here? We have just a few more. And yep, okay. So, okay, you have some promise in the story. That's true. Your gameplay style is very unique. Honestly, actually, to be honest, bottom A, I feel like majority of the Fontaine characters are just like descending order. Navia actually has a lot of prominence. Her gameplay style is actually pretty unique for her own way. But she does seem to copy a bit for Zhongli, but she does have a very big prominence in the story, at least early on. I think that's actually fair, S tier. She also has prominent story to Fontaine. Her gameplay style is also unique as well. I think maybe above Risley. I don't exactly like her personality, but it's just a bit, like, compared to other Fontaine characters, I don't like her personality that much, but for uniqueness, and her personality is similar to Rising, so I think the uniqueness is just enough to get her over there. Okay. Cloud Retainer. She is, let's see, her personality in terms of leeway is fine. She has a lot of relevance in leeway, but we're talking about the playable character here. Her relevance in that story is mostly just for the Lantern Rite. It's not that much. I do like her gameplay style as it is unique for Traversal specifically. But if we are counting Leeway's story, she was very prominent. I think maybe bottom A, because it's just her playable version is what's actually kind of holding her back, as her release for her playable version is a bit nuanced. Her character quest is more about Ganyu and Shihi rather than her, so at least that's what I remember. I did play hers. I think it was about some about her too, but it was mostly about like her two adopted children. Gaming. He is also unique, and he does have similar style, similar story prominence, but like in terms of main leeway, he is a leeway character, but in main leeway, he doesn't have like the story relevance in or the original. leeway, but in terms of like Lantern Right and the current, no, just only Lantern Right. But he is unique enough. I think maybe above, like at least above the Yuzumin characters here. Chiori. She is Fontanian, very unique with the twin sword. Basically, she uses twin swords and uses her swords as scissors as well, since she has 2 katanas. I do like her uniqueness. She's super unique. I do like her personality. In terms of story relevancy, she's like, she's literally just top B. She's from Imazuma, but in her, she appears in Fontaine. She's the most unique, but just doesn't really make the cut to A tier because of the Genji was not there for the Fontainian storyline. But I think that's kind of fair, honestly. Her uniqueness is there. Okay, I think we only have a few. Yeah, we only have a few more here, so let's finish up. Okay, so Chloran. Again, just like every other Fontaine character, she is the most unique, and she has my favorite phrase. She does have my favorite. I cannot speak. Damn. She has my favorite gameplay style, which I do actually like. Only problem is that she doesn't have enough story relevance. It's much less than like Risley, if I actually remember correctly. I think at least above right here. I would put her in S or at least top of A, but her relevance in the story is lackluster compared to like even Risley, which is a bit sad. And the same can be said to Sijuin. She's super cute, which does give her some bonus points. Unfortunately, it would still knock her at least below Chloran. While she is super unique and also super cute, story relevance is just lackluster. Her gameplay style, which it is unique. Actually, no. Her stuff is unique, but it's just really bad. She's the one of the slowest attackers in the game, for specifically an Archer. It would mostly fit for maybe a hard-hitting Catalyst, but an Archer is like a waste of space, honestly. She's not a good support in her team, and that's kind of about it. She's supposed to be a healer. She is a decent healer, but you need a lot of setup with her. Of course, there is a team that she works with, but I'm not counting for any team comps or any meta builds that you can actually put for her. She's the worst character in Fontaine, and that's kind of sad because she has been hyped a lot. If she had the model of an actual Museline, like an actual Museline body, I think we'll give her like extra points for her being super unique in terms of character model. As you can see here, the majority of all these characters are either hybrids or human, not like Anthro or other creature. It's just kind of sad, kind of knocks him down. Cephros, I think that's his name. He's Semeru. Unfortunately, he has no story relevance unless you count the event for it, which makes no sense, honestly. To me, he's actually pretty bad. His gameplay is super average. Compared to every other Fontaine character that was also released, he's really lackluster. I do think maybe bottom, honestly. He's possibly just below. His personality is alright, but his personality is not enough because everything else is super average, keeps him down here. And of course, I think putting him below Shogun is fair, only because he doesn't have enough story relevance. At least he's better than Aoi. I forgot what I just said her name earlier. I just don't remember what I just said. God damn it. Okay. Next is Emily. Emily is also unique, but her gameplay is super unique, but just kind of slow. In terms of story relevance, she kinda does, but it's for her character quests only, and that's just semi-relevance. She is not that harmful. She is really strong for a Dendro character, but not too strong. But for a pole arm, it's super interesting why they give her a pole arm than the Catalyst. But I guess we maybe have too many Catalysts, possibly. anything, I think I'll just put it below Lisa at the very least, because her story prominence is not that much. I think she's from Fontaine, but goes to Sumeru, at least to what I remember, or at least the rumors at least. I don't really remember her, and unfortunately just doesn't have any new storyline to Fontaine, or if it was the new event, I could actually put that for her since she's relatively new, but unfortunately she doesn't have that much to begin with. So she's just pretty average. She's good, but I think her gameplay style, while it's unique, it's kind of standard for almost any Catalyst. I guess you can say it's a fusion of Catalyst and polearm in terms of her base kit. To be honest, I think her uniqueness actually puts her up just about here. That's where I feel that's where she belongs. Her personality is fine. She's kind of average, I guess. Now we have the 3 version 5s. Now this is basically puts asterisks because we don't know what they are, at least at the time of this recording. At the time of this recording, version 5 has not been out yet. And I don't think I'll go to update. But if this tier list does, this whole tier list updates to version 5 and have all the feature characters that we actually seen, then maybe. But for now, we all know that these 3 are the main playable characters. We do see their animations, attacks, and all that stuff. So these are asterisks, and I'll be basically going to predict what they are in terms of personality. I think for you, I don't remember these guys' names because they're kind of long, and to be honest, they're still relatively new. For her, seeing her playstyle is really unique, and she has the most expressive animations in the entire game. I do think if her personality is what I think it is and what the fandom thinks, that she is going to probably be at least here. I'm predicting that she's going to be over here. The only reason is because, well, it's hard to top Fontaine's like storyline, and if she's super relevant to Natlan's story, then she could actually put up. The only problem is that I would put up like maybe on top A. The only problem, and here's the only problem, her animations to me are too expressive. It's kind of trying to get rid of the fact that her character model is a little bit of a ripoff of Amber's specifically, which is kind of strange because she does look like just a blue Amber, which she's over here. At least to me. I think you guys can actually see it if you see the full body stuff. But yeah. But her animations are a bit too expressive. I think they overcooked with her like stuff. She is a 5-star, so it is a technical privilege, but it's a bit too much even for me. This is the newest 4-star. Hopefully she'll be a free 4-star. She's a perfect balance in animation, yet equally expressive, and her attacks are really unique. Her fight style and gameplay style is super unique too, as she rides an actual contraption, which actually sends shockwaves. She's a Geo, which is kind of surprising. A polearm Geo, which is not too surprising. I think we do need another one. But her attacks makes her breakdance, and that's kind of cute. She's also a cute character, so gives her some bonus points. In terms of character relevancy, in terms of story, majority of the 4-stars that we've seen were actually pretty useful in terms of story. If we go for Leeway and Fontaine standards, definitely not Imizuna, but like, I'm predicting that she's going to be bottom A at the very least, because her animations kind of carry her. I do hope that her personality is not super annoying, because they might actually go for the route for the trope of annoying little child or little person. So like, I just hope that is not true. Hopefully her story relevance does make her a bit important, or at least play an important part. She doesn't need to be important. She just needs to play like a important role, more so like actually helping out in the story to actually be ranked high. If anything, my actual prediction would actually be bottom, like mid B or bottom B, but I'm hoping for bottom A. I'm just that optimistic for this type of character because I think that this is the perfect balance of animation and uniqueness in her attacks. Okay, seeing his gameplay is unique enough, but he has the same speed of any other Claymore, or actually slower than Dea's, which is a bit upsetting. His attacks are aesthetically unique, but other characters can already technically do that. He's just there for the visuals and nothing else. His gameplay style is very lackluster, with the only animation is literally his pixel buddy, which I don't want to count because that's not actually part of this. Is part of his character, but not him specifically. In terms of personality, I do think that he's gonna be at the same range as Wanderer, although if anything, I do think that he'd be slightly likable. But in terms of his gameplay is super lackluster. I don't understand why people actually like him. Please let me know if you're actually part of this video. Please let me know why you think Genshin people like this guy. He does look like another Zhao, which is also another problem because, as you can see, this character looks like Amber. This character actually looks a lot more like a animal furry version of Klee without the pointy ears, and this just looks like another Zhao mixed with like Wanderer's personality, which is just like, yeah, they're just reusing specific character models in game that another character already has, kind of change it a tiny bit and just like call it a day. There's really no uniqueness about these three in terms of design, so I cannot really put them up for that. But yeah, but that's my predictions for these three. I do think this guy is like almost bottom C because of how he's shown in the trailers, and his animations really do suck. She's actually the most balanced. She's a little over exaggerated, but I do believe that she might have the most prominence in the story. That's what I'm hoping for. Either way, that's it for the... I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, that's basically it. I think I know I said that a few times already. But okay, this is the tier list. We have basically 6 characters in S tier. The main purpose is because of their relevance in their own story and how much they've developed. We have the A tier, which is just as good, and actually a lot more than I was expecting. And I'm predicting 2 characters from natlan to be in my expectations in terms of relevance in story. B tier is like a slightly average, kind of what I expected, but just the above average expectation. Unfortunately, the majority here is Imuzumian characters, and the reason why is because of the pacing of Imuzuma itself is really bad. I wish people would take notice of that. C is just a super average people. The only exception is Shogun. She would be ranked lower, but to be honest, her boss battle is pretty interesting. Narratively, unfortunately, it's very bad because, again, while you can beat her, it's not a total victory, so to speak. And because if Wanderer was much more nicer, if his boss fight was better initially, and if he was nicer, he would be ranked up even higher. But right now, I think upper C is really just it's really just a kind-hearted thing I have to do. I had to give him some benefit, at least as I named him Zamasu, which he is technically. But he is technically like Genshin's version of Zamasu for Dragon Ball Super, so that's it. D tier is people who I actually hate. Right here. Hate, or just hate in terms of personality. Or in terms of Ailey, only because she has almost no relevance in the game whatsoever, and for her, asterisk, you do need context from Horizon, which I do, but unfortunately we don't take Horizon's story into this tier list because she is a crossover character if she has any relevance in. And unfortunately, if I do have more knowledge on Horizon, because I don't play Horizon, I don't have a PlayStation. She is a PlayStation exclusive character. I do know her story, but just as a synopsis, if I do know her full story, maybe I could actually rank her up higher. But rank her up higher. If how high you ask, I think actually mid C. But in terms of like her kit, what people are saying about her kit, and I see gameplay of her is really, really lackluster, and it's just kind of average compared to other archers. So these right here. F is just because these guys are bad guys. They don't have enough to actually show that we should care about them or not, but they're just here. And yeah, we have these right here, which I definitely do not know. So yeah, that's about it. My name's Sampo, and I'll see you guys next time. And that's the tier list. Let me know which character you think I basically did fair to or unfair to. And I'll see you guys next time, possibly with another random video. Catch you later. Okay, editing Sampo here. By the time of this video, the tier list has not updated yet, but we do get to see one more character, and I believe it's this guy. He's very interesting, that's all I gotta say, but we need more information. But yeah, that's an updated tier list. That's it. I did not change anybody else on this tier list, just him. Thanks to the trailer. Better than Child. I'll say that. Okay, yeah, that's it. Better than Child.